Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're gonna draw Goku from Dragon Ball Z, from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a good way to spend a half hour-ish, then let's draw. Okay, I don't know a lot about Goku. I've never watched Dragon Ball. My son has watched a lot of Dragon Ball, but he started watching it after he was older, and I didn't watch it with him because he was living on his own and doing his own thing. But I love the look of Goku, and he told me to draw him, so I drew me some Goku. I watched some videos about Goku, and it's a lot. There is a lot to know about Goku, and I didn't really absorb much of it, which is weird. Just because there's so many names and so much stuff getting thrown around at like a fast pace, and it's just overwhelming because Dragon Ball has been around since like the 80s, mid 80s, late 80s. So when there's like hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and Goku's origin has been retconned like 10 times or something like that. So it was hard to keep up with. But for the most part, Goku. His name is Kakarot. He was Saiyan, raised on Earth. He was sent there by his father. His father's name was Bardock, and his mother was Jean. And it's kind of like a Superman origin, where his father found out that the planet was going to get destroyed. And they put their son in a little rocket and sent him off to Earth, so that he can survive the explosion and carry on the family lineage and all that stuff, and be a surviving Saiyan. I guess that's not 100% true, though. In one of his origins, he was sent to conquer Earth because he was considered a weak warrior. And they sent warriors like him who didn't have high potential to planets that would be really easy to conquer, like Earth, because I guess Earth doesn't have any, like, really powerful heroes in the Dragon Ball universe. And then the Dragon Balls themselves, they're things that when you get them all together, I think there's 7 or 8 of them, and when you get them all together, a dragon shows up, and the dragon will grant you a wish. I mean, it's pretty cool. And I have the Crunchyroll account. I mentioned that before because I do watch anime. And I'm allowed 7 accounts on it, so I gave it to my son recently because he asked for it because he didn't know I had it. I'm pretty sure I told him a while ago that I did, but that's not important. The important part is he started watching Dragon Ball again because I see it up on my list. So I think I'm going to follow suit, and I'm going to start watching Dragon Ball, and it'll probably take the rest of my life to get through it, but I'm going to give it a try. One thing I wasn't expecting to see about, learn about Goku is he's lost a lot of fights. I mean, I was watching the recap of his life, I guess, up to a certain point, which I think omits some newer stuff. But he lost a lot of fights, and I'm like, I thought Goku was like Superman, and he always wins. But Superman doesn't always win either. He sometimes gets his butt kicked in the first round, maybe 2. And then he summons the ability to win the final round. And I don't know if Goku follows that path because, like I said, I just watched a couple overviews and a video on all the different Super Saiyan modes, which are kind of crazy. I should have drawn him in a Super Saiyan mode, but I just want to go with straight up, regular, easy to recognize Goku, because some of those Saiyan modes, the colors and everything blend up, and the hairs all get the same color, and they look very similar, I guess, is a way to put it. And when I was drawing Goku, I was originally going to go full-on anime with him, and I did 2 separate, pretty detailed sketches, and I hated both of them. It was just too much. I mean, I just went too far into the anime in a way that I didn't think was good and wasn't very anime when I was done. So I slowed it down and I said, what can I do to make Goku my own? So I decided to do Goku in the way that I draw comics instead of drawing Goku anime style. And I really, really, really like this drawing. I gotta print out a poster of this one because I want to hang it up and probably give one to the kid if he could hang it. If he could hang it up at his house, I think he's gonna build himself an office. So I don't think that'll be a problem. It's nothing he'll be putting in his bedroom, obviously, because the wife wouldn't allow it. But it's all good. And I still got to print out some posters for the girl, the roomie, and all that stuff. Speaking of roomie, that's like the worst performing video I've ever done. And I don't know if it's me, if it's an algorithm, or a combination of both, or if this style of video just isn't popular. I have no idea, because I'm kind of making my own template and I'm terrible at researching things, so I didn't really watch a bunch of successful art channels to see how they do it. I just decided this is how I wanted to do it, and I did it. So if y'all have any suggestions on how to improve the videos and make them more palatable to the general audiences, feel free to leave a comment somewhere so that I could read it and maybe take you up on your advice, or maybe not, because I might be doing it already. Who the heck knows? Yeah, like I've been stagnant on followers for like a week. I've gotten one, I lose one, I lose one, I get one. It's been hovering in the same area, and it hasn't been expanding. But that's not gonna stop us. I'm almost at my year mark. Next month it'll be a year anniversary, and I have enough drawings to get me through it. Although I gotta think of one for the actual anniversary show, which I don't know how I would announce that or not, but I gotta think of something that'll be really personal to me to draw and get it out there, even if it's not gonna be popular. Like I was thinking another Daredevil, but then I did a Chibi Daredevil for the Wednesday videos that are gonna start most likely next week. And I did a Daredevil that I like. I think it was my second video. So Daredevil's out. I did plenty of Batman. I'm saving the Green Lanterns for whenever the Green Lantern show shows up, so that's not going to happen. I did a Flash. So I'm thinking I'm going to do something that... the pencils are done. It's time to ink Goku. And inking Goku was really fun, because, you know, when I do the comic book style stuff and I get into all the line work and stuff, I always say I want to simplify it and make it more Mike Mignola, but then I end up doing my thing, and I really like the way my thing comes out. So, you know, I'm torn in that regard. But yeah, I really like the way Goku came out. I do shrink his hair down a little bit. I think I overdid the hair. But then again, I don't think I overdid the hair. So, you know, I made a compromise and I brought it in a bit. So back to the drawing. I think for the anniversary drawing, I'm going to draw one of my favorite comic book characters. Actually, probably my favorite comic character. And he's not Marvel or DC. And he hasn't been in a printed comic since I think he was in some crossover thing that I didn't get, and I found out about it too late, and it's really expensive, so I haven't read it. It's like called War of the Independents, so I gotta find that and see if I could read that online. But I am gonna draw Scud the Disposable Assassin. That's gonna be my anniversary video. I've drawn him before. I've drawn him plenty of times before. It'll probably be a quicker video. Probably more suited for the Wednesday shorter videos, because there isn't much to Scud. But I love Scud. And if you haven't heard of Scud, look him up. He was done originally by Fireman Press, and then his story was finished in Image Comics in 2009. And I will tell you, if you were a Scud the Disposable Assassin fan when it was coming out in the early to late 90s, I think it started in 1994, it was a hard time because it was coming out fairly regularly. I mean, sometimes it was late, sometimes it was monthly, sometimes you gotta buy monthly. You know, it came out when it came out, but it came out. And at issue 20, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was 20. Don't quote me on that, though. There was one issue left to go. It said, you know, one more issue. And it was Scud was taken by some angels, and the angels wanted him to assassinate God. I don't know if I should say that in a YouTube video, but... And then... nothing. Scud disappeared. No solicitations, no new book. I went to my local comic shop for years And every time well, not every time I went, but monthly to bi-monthly, I say, hey, anything on Scud? Because, I didn't buy the previews magazines. And if I did, it's a lot of pages. So I wouldn't read the whole thing anyway. But I would always ask them, and they'd always check. And it was no, 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 no. So from 1998 or 99, Scud vanished, and the story was incomplete with one issue left to go. And it was maddening. And then finally, you just kind of forget after a while, and you move on, and you don't think about Scud anymore. And then I started following Rob Schrab. He's the creator of Scud. I started following his Instagram. In fact, why am I telling the story now? I should tell this when it gets to Scud. But I don't know a lot about Goku, so I guess we'll talk about Scud a little bit. Sorry, guys, who were expecting a long, involved origin of Goku. But we will talk more about Goku. But anyway, which I say that all the time, too. So in 2009, he never really mentioned what was going on with Scud. But in 2009, he mentioned that he was taking a summer off because he went to Hollywood, became a writer for, screenplays and movies. Him and his friend Dan Harmon, who got his first job writing on Scud. You all might know Dan Harmon because he is one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, which is a hilarious show that I need to catch up on. And when they moved to Hollywood, they did a animated cartoon script for a thing called Monster House, which is a really fun cartoon. I didn't know it was him. I've seen it with my son, and I never noticed that Rob Schrab had anything to do with it. And I guess what happened was in the last issue of Scud, one of the characters, Scud's girlfriend in the book, was based off his real life girlfriend. They had like a big breakup and falling out, and he was heartbroken and depressed, and he just couldn't finish the story because he would have had to draw her. So him and his depression and his friend Dan Harmon, they went off to Hollywood to become screenwriters. Or actors, or both, I don't know. And their careers picked up. Schrab worked on the Sarah Silverman show, and he did some independent things. And one of the very first things that Jack Black ever did was in a Rob Schrab short movie thing called, what was it called? Something Jack, Laser Jack or something. I'd have to look it up, but that'll save for that. But in 2009, he announced he's taking a summer off of Hollywood stuff. And he was going to do that last issue of Scud the Disposable Assassin. And it's like, holy crud, we're finally going to get to find out the end of Scud. And to make it even better, instead of just giving you that one last issue, he turned it into 4 issues. So you got a 4-issue Scud Limited series. So, I mean, it sucked having to wait that long, but the payoff was worth it. And it would be awesome if he did another Scud book, or even just a one-shot, or they did like the Rocketeer's doing, which Rob Schrab is still with us, thankfully. But like Dave Stevens, he passed away in the early 2000s, 2012, I don't remember. So he obviously can't do more Rocketeer issues, but his family or state or whatever, they have allowed other people to do Rocketeer stories. So every once in a while they'll put out a Rocketeer miniseries done by somebody else. I think Darwin Cook did one before he passed, and a bunch of other ones. There's been some cool Mark Waid covers and everything. So the Rocketeer continues. So it'd be cool if Rob Schrab, even if maybe wrote a story and had somebody else draw it, or he just said, hey, let's do a Scud anthology thing and let existing artists or up and coming artists who grew up with it, to do new Scud. That would be awesome. And I would be blowing up his Instagram messages trying to get to do something in that, because that's like a dream job. I mean, working for Marvel or DC is the dream job, but getting to an issue of Scud, that's like a childhood thing come true. All right, one more Scud thing. Me and a friend of mine, after the senior prom, we had portfolios ready, and instead of going to hang out with my date afterwards and doing after prom stuff, me and him went to New York Comic Con. And I don't know if it was 93 or 94. It was one of those two. I'm going to guess 94, so that would have been the year after, so it had nothing to do with the prom thing. But we went to New York Comic Con to show off portfolios. And Fireman Press, Rob Schrab, Scud, they had a table set up there, and we talked to him for a while. And I bought my first issue of Scud there, and that's what got me hooked. So that was really cool. And that's enough about Scud. Let's talk about some Dragon Ball stuff. Not that I really have much to talk about. So yeah, Goku's father sends him to Earth Superman style. And the original origin, he's supposed to conquer Earth. But an old man finds him. And he's like, oh, weird, a child with a tail. But he decides to take this child in and raise him. And the child, I guess he's a little violent and a little unruly and hard to deal with. So the old man is having trouble raising this kid, and they're out in the woods or something, and Goku falls off like a mountain ledge or something, and he bangs his head, and he forgets all the violence and the things that he's supposed to do, like taking over the earth, and he becomes a kind-hearted, pure-hearted soul, and he starts training, and I guess it wasn't originally meant to be a big cosmic odyssey. It started out kind of like it's kind of like a travel story. I believe a blue-haired girl named Bulma, I believe that's her name. She wanted to put the Dragon Balls together to make some kind of wish, which I'll have to look up eventually. And they were just traveling around looking for the Dragon Balls, and it just so happens that Goku's grandfather had one, and since he wasn't around anymore, Goku decided to join her on her quest. Yeah, but there were hints that he was thinking about maybe doing something like that. Like Goku turned into a great ape a couple times. He changed forms. That's not a human thing to do. And he has a tail. That's not a human thing. And the great ape thing, he kind of accidentally unalived his grandfather in great ape form. That's why he was living on the mountain by himself. And then I think when Piccolo showed up, a big green powerful guy, I don't even think they said he was an alien. But when he was fighting with Goku, he was surprised at how strong Goku was for a human and didn't think that that was possible. So there were hints that Goku was otherworldly. My son made a point to tell me that Goku was a terrible father. That every time he had a kid or whatever, he would have to leave or he would die and just take off, or he would be there and his kid's born. He's like, oh, cool, kid, I gotta go train for a fight. See you later. So I'm sure his wife wasn't happy about that. I'll have to look up his wife's name too, because I think he had 2 kids. I'll have to look up their names too. Hold on. Okay, so sorry. I'll be doing that a few times in this video. Goku's wife is named Chi-Chi. I remember this from one of the videos now that are popped into my head. They were venturing together in the early things, and they had a lot in common or whatever, and I think Goku promised he would marry Chi-Chi, and she called him on it, so he married her. Oh yeah, here's the thing where I flip Goku, because I did a straight-on headshot, and I always get the angles a little weird, so I flip him over, and I straighten things out and move things around, so then I flip it back over, because for some reason, your brain tells you it looks fine when you're drawing it, and everything's fine. Oh, I stole Goku's symbol, because I didn't think I could draw that all that well. I mean, I could have drawn it, but, you know, it just would have taken a lot of time that was completely unnecessary for something that small. So, I stole it off the internet and put it on him. So I flip it, and then I flip it back. Because your eye doesn't tell you that it looks wrong. At least mine doesn't. I remember when I was going to art school, they said, flip it over. Look at it through a light backwards, and you'll see all the mistakes that your brain won't tell you are there. Oh, the inks are done on Goku. It's time to color him. And coloring him was a lot of fun too, because I put the blue glowy thing on him, on his hand, and I loved it so much I used it for Iron Man's repulsors, even though I drew Goku first. But like I said, I had to learn about Goku to draw Goku. Plus orange is my favorite color, so that was cool, orange and blue. I think Goku's a Mets fan. I'm not much of a baseball fan, but my son is, and maybe that's why he likes Dragon Ball so much, because Goku's Mets colors. Who knows? But if you're a Mets fan, you should watch Dragon Ball, because clearly Goku's representing. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, his wife's Chi-Chi, and he promised to marry her, and he did. Then he had 2 kids, Gohan and Go-In, and that's where my son told me he's a terrible father. I guess like Go-In's born, and I guess he was dead when he was born. Goku was unalived, and then he shows up, he's like, oh, I got a kid, cool. Then he disappears to go train. And I think he said it's almost treated like a joke in some episodes, but I don't know. If that's true, let me know. If not, I'll tell him he's full of poop and he doesn't know anything about Goku. But I'm pretty sure he watched all the original Dragon Balls and some of the Dragon Ball Z or all the Dragon Ball Z. So who knows? But since he's up on the mountain alone, he goes off with Bulma to find the Dragon Balls. And yes, I am going to start watching Dragon Ball, and I am going to do a Vegeta video sometime later this year, once I got some Dragon Ball knowledge under my belt, and we will revisit this whole Dragon Ball storytelling thing that I'm failing you guys at, and I feel awful, so hopefully the drawing of Goku is good enough to keep your attention, because it's all I really have. But yes, I will learn Dragon Ball lore when I do the Vegeta video, because my son's favorite is Vegeta, so I gotta draw Vegeta. We will revisit a lot of the stuff that I get wrong or forget or don't mention in this video. And hopefully it will redeem myself. An interesting thing I found out about Goku, though, was the guy who created him. What was his name? Toriyama? Yeah, I will ruin that pronunciation all day long. Akira Tomiyama? He was going to make him almost a full monkey. And instead of flying around on the cloud, yes, Goku flies around on a cloud, which is pretty cool. And I guess you got to be pure of heart to be able to fly on the cloud. See, I'm learning. And he was supposed to like ride a mecha. That would have been pretty darn cool. And I guess his name, they even retconned it. It was just he pretty much named him after the monkey god in Journey to the West. It was a Chinese story, I think, Chinese. But they changed it up, and he just kept the tail. But he kept the name, and then his name was retconned into Goku. Ku is like the sky, the moon or something like that, or the sky. He fell from the sky. Yeah, it wasn't originally what it was. He was just named after the monkey guy in that book. So, yeah. But I think my kid told me that Dragon Ball was such a thing in Japan that it actually influenced the economy to a point where he said he wasn't going to make any more Dragon Ball or take a break, and like, no, you got to make Dragon Ball because our economy depends on it. So I think they made some Dragon Ball without Akira, and that's one of the movies, but I guess Akira adapted some of those things into the manga afterwards. Like you said, correct me if I'm wrong about all of this. And then there's the whole Super Saiyan thing, and the Super Saiyan things, and the Super Saiyan 3rd tier and 2nd tier, where Goku gets all these power-ups, in the face of adversity. Like he's getting his butt kicked and the fate of the world's at hand, and he just loses his mind, and he becomes a Super Saiyan, which gives him like 10 times the power he normally had, or 50 times. And there's another one that gives him 100 times, and there's one that turns his hair pink, and he gets really buffed out, but he slims down and he just gets better at everything, but he gets the same power up. And then there's some of those where they get so big and burly that they're super strong, but they're super slow, so it's not really a help. So let's see, we got his base form, Goku base, which is pretty diesel. I guess Goku, his origin, he was sent to Earth originally because he was a weak Saiyan. But then he ends up really being one of the most powerful Saiyans. He got his original Ozu form, the Great Ape, the Golden Ape. Then he becomes a Golden Ape, which is even bigger than the Great Ape. So he's got that power up. And then he becomes a Super Saiyan. And that's like 50 times his thing. And then he becomes a Super Saiyan 2. And then there's a bunch of forms of Super Saiyan 2. And there's Grade 2, Grade 3. Super Kaioken, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 2 Berserk, and then there's Super Saiyan 3, and then there's Evolution Primal versions, and then Super Saiyan 4, and then there's like Full Power Super Saiyan 4, and Time Power Super Saiyan 4. Oh my god, there's so many. Goku has gone through some stuff, and he's evolved to beat it apparently. Then there's Evolution 2, that's a God Key. And that's when he turns blue. And then there's a perfect Super Saiyan blue. That's only a manga thing, apparently. Then there's a Berserker one where he just goes nuts blue. And then he does time powers in blue. And then there's the God Key. I think that's the one with the purple, where he has, it's a mix of the blue and the pink, and it becomes purple. And that's kind of crazy. Oh, here I tried to not need Photoshop anymore, and I looked to see if there's a way to like turn gradients into Ben-Day dots or halftone dots in Clip Studio, and there is. It's not as refined as what I do in Photoshop, although what I do in Photoshop takes like 10 steps. But it works and it's cool. Now you just have to fill in some of the blanks afterwards because it only does black and white apparently. I gotta look deeper into it for the next time I use it. But it gave me the look I wanted and gave me the glow. And if you recognize it, you saw it in the Iron Man video 2 or 3 weeks ago. Because I wanted to do the same Kirby crackle effects for Iron Man's repulsors. And I'm like, I already did that in Goku, so why would I do it again? So yeah, so I used Goku's thing. I just multiplied it 3 times, flipped it a little bit, and there you go. Sometimes you reuse things in art. Like I drew a couple mashups with Doctor Who, and I drew 2 different types of TARDIS. And I reuse those TARDISes in multiple TARDI, and I think that's how you say it. Or TARDIS. I think TARDIS might be the plural of TARDIS. And I reuse that in multiple drawings because why redo things you already did when it works perfectly fine in another drawing? So that's that. Although I haven't gotten to the point where I've drawn like one cityscape and reused it over and over again. I think that's a little cheesy. You're going to draw the buildings, draw the buildings. Which I drew a ton of buildings in the next Turtle, Raphael, coming up. That one's going to be awesome. I got to finish coloring him. He's taking a while because it's daunting. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And I still got to figure out how to connect it into the bottom too. The top tier is done. You got Donatello and Raphael next to each other. And I got to do Michelangelo and Leonardo on the bottom. But I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to go from this point on. And the last 2 won't have as much going on as far as buildings behind them because everything's closer. So the Michelangelo and Leonardo turtles should come quicker than the gap between Raphael and Donatello, because figuring out the perspective and how to connect them was a pain because that wasn't the original plan. So I had to redo all the perspective lines and grids and line them up with the old ones on the Donatello drawing. It was a nightmare. And not on top of that, I just had to make it work over a canvas that's 4 times the size, twice as wide and twice as long. So I couldn't get into weird looking perspective. So yeah, but I made it work. And probably not next week because I still got to get the Thor video and the engine video and the Power Girl. But I might squeeze Raphael in between those. That's going to be a long video too. So hold your pants on for that one. So let's see where we leave off on Saiyans. The blue one, the God one, then Amped by Ultra Instinct. Oh, that one's cool. I watched the thing about that, where his just mind goes blank and everything just flows and his body takes over and the universe does the work for him and he just instantly blocks things and moves through space, time, and speed and just beats the crap out of whoever he was fighting. I'd have to look that up, and I don't really have a lot of time left in this video. I spent a lot of time jabbering about things that aren't Goku, so sorry. But then I guess he took that form and he blended it in with his more basic instincts, so he's more in control. So he's in control, but it's still an unconscious thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Another thing about Goku is I drew the background for rocks and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I haven't really done a drawing where I do rocks and a background that's an environment. I mean, I didn't get crazy and draw trees and stuff, but you know, I figure I put them on a rocky ledge with some rocks behind them for some variety, and I really like the way they came out. I figured that I haven't done it in so long, I wouldn't be able to texture them so they look convincing, but I think I got it pulled off. I even add some clouds here after I thought I was done, because, you know, we can't just have a plain blue gradient sky. That's boring. But I really am happy with the way the Goku drawing came out. It's actually one of my favorites so far. But Goku is done, so I thank you for dealing with my rambling this week and trying to get my way through a video I know nothing about. So go out, draw something, have a good time with your week, like, subscribe, and all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you next week with something I'm hopefully more knowledgeable on.